Any advice on where or how to start when it all feels overwhelming? She says in replies here that she's feeling overwhelmed with starting an exercise routine after months of being sedentary and overwhelmed with nutrition. There's so much noise on social media.
Well, I would recommend, there's a really good, great quote I learned from you. When you have no focus, or what is it? When you have no focus, when you have all the focus, you have no focus. When you,
Yeah, it was from Greg McEwen, and I think he might have quoted someone else in his book, but I think he was talking about priorities. If you have 12 priorities, you have none.
yeah. So, it's possible that this person should maybe just like, if she's finding herself unable to focus on some like early goals, because in the end, it doesn't matter what you pick, just pick something that's doable, right? We just got to get started. Another Annie quote is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a
You
time.
can't keep quoting me with
I
these.
know. You're like
These are not
my
my
dad. I
quotes.
quote my dad and Annie. That's my two things in
I
life. Annie says this.
I
My
am
dad says
so
this.
flattered that you are clearly like listening and absorbing all my quotes, but you are going to give me credit where I do not deserve it. But
Well, anyways, you just said it to me yesterday, which was very
yeah,
helpful.
yeah.
Um, if you're struggling with getting started and feel, it's really about identifying. So, what are your barriers to getting started, right? I asked her, and she said overwhelm in general. It's trying to start an exercise habit after being sedentary, overwhelmed with nutrition because of so much noise. So it's like maybe you need to turn down the noise. Maybe you need to unfollow anything nutrition on social media. Like if that's a distraction to you, then just turn it down. Now I can scroll social media and see nutrition stuff on there. I follow lots of different professionals and it doesn't distract me. And I'm sharing that because I want you to know in the future you may not find it so distracting.
Hmm.
Right now as you're trying to get started and pick something, it might just, well maybe that, well maybe that, well maybe that. And that's okay. That's probably part of the change process. You're probably in the preparation stage of change. But really you just need to pick one thing, right? And when that starts feeling good, you pick another thing and you just build over time. I also can relate to restarting an exercise habit after being sedentary for months, try years. That was me. So it is, and again, I can empathize with the overwhelm. I can empathize with the overthinking. And in the end, in the beginning, you truly just have to do something different than you do now. And my advice to you is really in the beginning, you are breaking the habit of not showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you do. Perfect exercise, intensity, hitting all the muscle groups. That is not important in the beginning. Those are later details. That's when we start kind of optimizing. Right now, you just got to start showing up and we fine tune over time.
Yeah. I think oftentimes when I myself am experiencing overwhelm, when I've seen it in our members, there are a lot of stories that are full of hot air about what we need to get done, what we need to be focused on, how much needs to be done, and when it needs to be done by. Like most of that is a load of crap, to be quite honest.
It's a
It's
load
a
of crap and
story.
often rooted in perfectionism.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the best antidotes to action or overwhelm is action. And so what Jen said about essentially like removing options and tasks, chores, responsibilities, commitments, and really honing on a select set of commitments that you can do consistently. And then you can add them back in as you start to build momentum and gain some confidence and it feels more doable, right? But
Yeah.
but you've got to give yourself permission to just do what you can. Because
Yeah, and
otherwise you're going to stay stuck forever.
forever. And when I restarted my exercise habit, I knew I just needed to break that habit of not showing up for myself. So for me, anything was good enough. Anything. That's not where I wanted to stay, but I'm a nutrition and behavior change coach, so I guess I have that long-term vision of knowing things build over time, so I do have that advantage. But if you can stay with me for a moment and get there yourself, nothing, everybody's trying to jump from here to there, right? They're trying to go from A to Z all in one leap. And that's why they're failing, because they're doing this jump, but they keep falling into this abyss. And behavior change, whether you like it or not, it happens one step at a time. It's A to B to C. Mm-hmm. So I knew I could get to Z. I knew it. And that might take a year, 2 years, whatever my perfect workout routine is. Doesn't matter how long it takes. I just had to go from A to B. That's the starting point. And for me, showing up to do anything in my little workout space, even if I decided to lay on a mat and just breathe, that was a check mark. I did it. I'm breaking the habit of not showing up for myself. I showed up for me. I paused out of my work day. I paused in the morning. I got up earlier, whatever it is, I did it.
Yeah.
And that has built over time. And here I am months and months later, and I am working out more regularly. I am moving more towards the types of workouts that I like to do for the time I like to do them. But that's where I started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't have to do everything. And even if you did, even if you were so jazzed about like, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do, and this all sounds really fun and I can see it integrating into my day really beautifully, one thing at a time, and you add, just like we say again, time and time again, Rome was not built in a day. Like brick by brick by brick by brick. That's how you get there. So select
just first
something.
Brick. Just lay the first brick, and it doesn't matter. Yeah. Add a protein shake to your breakfast.
Take a walk.
And take a walk. And the barrier to this, I would say, the number one barrier to this being enough and this getting going, and maybe even the number one thing driving your overwhelm, is your own perfectionist thoughts. This process works, period. It works, it works, it works. And when I'm trying to get women to get on these paths, the number one thing standing in their way is their own head saying, this isn't good enough.
It's them. They are in their own way.
Yeah. It's not good enough. So it's like, I'll give you... And then they get stuck in this loop of they're overwhelmed because this perfectionist plan they think they have to follow is overwhelming from where they start. So they do nothing. That overwhelm has them doing nothing. So that we break it up into small steps. We go over here. Okay, that's not working. Let's break it into small steps.
But that's not good enough.
But that's not good enough. So they stay in this loop of that's too much. That's not good enough. That's too much. That's not good enough. Hey, we got to start. Okay, we got to break that cycle somewhere. And I'm guessing you'll be more successful over here. You get to decide what's good enough. Okay, you're in charge.
We just shared a reel that I filmed a week or two ago where I said the American Heart Association, a reliable resource for evidence-based health and wellness information, literally says on their website, 10-minute walks, whatever you can do, all or something is better than nothing. And yet some women read that and they're like, yeah, that's great advice for other people. Like, not for me.
My friend can do that, but not me.
But so
I have to be perfect.
I have to do 30 minutes every single day, but I can't do 30 minutes.
Yes.
But 10 minutes isn't good enough. So yeah.